Hello, Steve. Hello, Joe. It's time to game classy.
Pack my bags and business suits. We're on TV. Every day. Watching what I eat.
Hi, we're recording.
Very good.
I started recording before the cast so I could catch these little moments.
Very good.
Of you screaming into the mic some Michael McDonald song. I don't even know what song that was.
Oh, that was me like blabbing hip to like random broken lines from Hip to Be Square.
Hip to Be Square.
I'm working out most every day and watching what I eat. Yeah.
You don't listen to Huey Lewis in the news?
Well, you know what? I should not say that I like Huey Lewis in the news. I like the songs that I like that Huey Lewis in the news have done, which is a very small portion of their repertoire, I'm certain.
You know, I think American Psycho said it best when it's like, you know, 4 is their best album.
Yeah.
Sports is their best album, and that's pretty much it.
Sports is real good.
Yeah, their early work is a little tuned way for my taste, but when Sports came out in '83, I think they really came into their own commercially and artistically.
And they talk about the joys of conformity.
Yeah. The whole album has a clear, crisp sound and a new sheen of consummate professionalism that really gives the songs a big boost. He's been compared to Elvis Costello, but I think Huey has a far more bitter, cynical sense of humor.
It's so good.
Hi, Paul.
They did a pretty good job of converting that book to a movie.
You know what? The older I get, the more I like that movie.
Oh, the movie's phenomenal.
You know, when I watched it in the 2000s, I thought, like, this is a dark movie. But now that I'm older, I'm like, this movie is so absurd.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
It's a comedy, 100% comedy.
Yeah, it's very funny. That's the thing. People take that movie seriously, and it's like, no. You are not getting it, my friend. It is a joke. The movie is funny.
Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, his delivery is great. Yeah, the movie's good. Well, and the reason I say is because like the book as written is not really like transferable to a film because like there's an entire chapter of the book that's literally just about Genesis.
Yeah.
And then there's another chapter of the book, and there's another chapter of the book that's literally just about Whitney Houston.
Yes.
Like how do you convert? Oh, it's great. I mean, it's great. I mean, the book's very good. I think the book is the same kind of thing. It's weird and funny as well, and just peak absurdity. But that's the thing. Like, how do you fucking convert that to a film? Like, it doesn't work. So I think they did a really good job of converting, which I would something I would consider, you know, an unfilmable book into a very, very good movie. So
actually, I would just listen to the first 2 Whitney Houston albums and be happy with that.
I don't know shit. I don't know shit all about Whitney Houston, to be honest with you, other than The Bodyguard.
If you listen to her first 2 albums are a joy to listen to.
All right.
They just bring a smile to your face. Anyway, Welcome to Game Classy.
Welcome to Music Review. No, what is it? No, welcome to the Needle Pop.
The Needle Pop. Ooh,
yeah,
I like it.
That's a rip off of a Needle Drop. See,
I'm making I'm making the Patrick Bateman face in the air.
Yeah, the Needle Pop. It's good.
My God, it even has a watermark.
Even has a watermark.
I'm doing the little dance when he's shaking his arm. I keep on laughing. Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Good times. God, it even has a watermark.
Even has a watermark. All right, so let's talk about some gaming stuff, shall we?
Gaming.
You know, because was it Skaventide or is it Skaventide? It was Skaventide, right? Not Vermintide.
Yes, Skaventide. The Tide of Skaven.
Skaventide released like a wet fart under the blankets.
Oh, it's actually out. That shows you how big of a release it was. I didn't even know that it came out.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's officially out. I know a bunch of places got it.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, I'm not sure if it's like in the actual release.
Yeah, I mean it's too fucking expensive. Like we said this. It's too like I mean I think the content like price notwithstanding, I think the content is very cool and good. But then you look at the price and you're like, oh, it's too much fucking money. Like it just doesn't work. I don't know. I mean, I hope to pick it up for a good price on Amazon when they are like, oh fuck, we overproduced this game.
Games Workshop is like Gandalf putting the one ring in your palm, going, it's quite cool.
It's quite cool.
And you're like, what is this? It's the Black Speech of Morgan.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. It's quite cool.
Your $265 book. Oh, by the way, everybody, we're recording at night, so you're getting.
I'm fucking tired of shit.
You're getting the night vibes. This is the Night Moves podcast.
Yeah, this is like we are 3 minutes from my normal bedtime, so I am tired. I'm a tired boy.
Yeah. We are, and we actually have gaming stuff to talk about. I have stuff locked and loaded. I got Star Wars content. I got bolt action content.
Damn,
I got everything, and I got a review of 3D printable dwarves. So we got that all to look forward to.
I mean, you're gonna have to carry it because I got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, what else is? Oh, and the new edition of D&D's dropping in a couple weeks.
Hey, but we don't know anything yet.
You can buy. Well, we can start with that off. You can buy the book at Gen Con.
Buy my book.
Buy my book. Talk about obscure references.
I love the critic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the critic was about 5 years too early.
Yes.
No, you know what? I would say it was 10 years too early. Because of like it should have hit like around the time of like when Family Guy really hit.
Yeah, I feel that way a lot about Mission Hill. I think if Mission Hill had debuted in kind of like in like peak Venture Brothers time for Adult Swim, I think Mission Hill would have at least gotten like 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, so the Dungeons and Dragons 2024 Player's Handbook is releasing early for Gen Con.
Yes, but it won't be the alt cover, so nobody cares.
Hey, just so you know, Gen Con really cares about its gamers, and it cares about gamers of all races, religions, sexual orientations, and that's why they have Gen Con in the middle of Indiana, the most intolerant state in the union.
I need to know. Was there a new thing that they needed to make a statement about?
No, I'm just saying. Oh. Gen Con cares about its gamers so much so that it has to have Gen Con in the middle of the most intolerant state in the union.
Mean, they care about your money.
Yes, they don't care if you get AIDS. That's Indiana, but why not?
Yeah, they care about your money. Like they want you to come and spend money. They'll say whatever they want. They're just turning the dial, going, looking back, going, is this going to make you spend money?
Exactly. It's like, well, what about Indiana's policy? And then Gen Con's people got their fingers in the ears, going la 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 la.
D&D book.
Yeah, but look at D&D book. I won't go too much into politics. I know a lot of our listeners are probably like, I hope they talk about what's going on in this horrible 2 weeks of the American political spectrum.
It's all Americana, baby.
The only thing I have to say is like, just thank God they didn't open up that shooter's phone and they find like on his like podcast playlist Game Classy. I was I didn't think he would because he's obviously a chud, and I wouldn't think that he would be listening to Game Classy.
Oh,
but man,
shit.
Wouldn't that just be the fucking kick in the nuts?
If it's just so like fucking funny. Oh my god, that would have been the fucking funniest thing ever.
And of course, it's like the podcast where you're like sitting there like threatening like all the politicians.
Hey, I didn't make any threats. I may have made some joke implications about joking things that I said are for entertainment purposes only.
You can shout that to the top of your lungs as they're dragging you to Guantanamo there. Hanoi Jane.
No, it works. I've seen it. It's on the director's commentaries. It's all it's a defense.
I was thinking there in my head, like, that would be the be all end all of like, just he's got the one podcast up. It's Game Classy. He's sitting there listening to it as he's aiming up his shot.
So fucking funny, dude. That would be hysterical.
Yes, but that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I mean, I'll weigh, and I don't fucking care. I don't care about anything. I care about my running. I care about my lifting.
Apparently, though, the last thing he looked at online before he went to that rally was porn. So,
oh yeah, baby, you know it.
You know it. I hope it was My Little Pony porn.
You got to fire one out before Endgame.
Yeah. In order to get your player's handbook in the intolerant state of Indiana at Gen Con, you have to first obtain a reservation ticket made available at 7 a.m. Eastern on each day of the event. So it's kind of like your golden ticket. So you're going to be like, it's like you're going to get the reservation. They're going to be like, you got the reservation, Steve. Run home. Don't stop for anybody.
I mean, I know that there's going to be a ton of people who are like trying to get it early, but like, I really like it's a D&D book. Like, who the fuck needs that early? Like, what, like, other than like unless you're like, unless you have the, and I'm sure people do, and I'm sure people will point out to me that I'm super wrong, which is fine, whatever. But the level of like FOMO brain rot to care about getting a Dungeons and Dragons book early is like, that's kind of unreal. That's really crazy.
Yeah,
I got no other way to say it. Like that's the level of FOMO that I don't even understand. Like I understand, I get the concept of FOMO for like the stuff that's legit. Like if you don't get it here, you can't get it. Like that, I at least like, I'm like, got it. Like I don't agree with it. I think it's a shitty business practice, but I at least understand the instinct for it, because it's like, it's like that's the only way to get it. Like I fully understand that type of FOMO, but like going crazy to get something like super early that has no real significance of you having early, like what you gonna do with it early? Like you got the player's handbook early, cool. Like are you,
Steve?
I don't get it.
It's gonna come. You're getting it early. And some new rules have already been revealed, including the ability to drink potions as a bonus action.
Ooh.
It just says that so when you write a news article, so like if people don't know, like when you write a news article, you go from most important information to least important information. That's the way you write a news article. You think of it as an inverted pyramid.
Yes.
But it's just like, that's like the very tippy point at the end, where it's just like 1 D&D, the next generation Dungeons and Dragons rules following from the 2014 5th edition won't launch fully until Dungeon Master's Guide and Monster Manual arrive on November 12th, 2024 and February 18th, 2025, respectively. Some new rules have already been revealed, including the ability to drink potions as a bonus action.
That's so funny.
Like, who wrote that?
Whoever wrote that needs a raise, because that was funny.
His name is Ryan Dinsdale.
Ryan Dinsdale needs a raise. It was funny.
He needs a raise just because he's let everyone know that you can drink a potion as a bonus action.
That kind of goofiness tickles my fancy. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's exciting. I mean, honestly, like, I hope it's good. Like, I really do. Like, D&D is like such a dominant presence. Like, I hope it's good. I hope it's fun. Like
but it's not a new edition, Steve. Shut your mouth about the new edition.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically it's not. It is going to be a blob edition. Like, I don't know. Like, it's going to be it's just going to be what is it? A perpetual game, which is like, that's fine. Like, again, like I've said, it'll be soft new editions, just like in
I could just imagine though getting this new player's handbook and walking into Gen Con with it, and you're like reading it, you're flipping through the pages variously, and you're like, wait a second, this is a new edition. Hey everybody, this is a new edition. And then you see like everybody in the, like, it's like Donald Sutherland in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where he's just like people pointing at you.
Yeah, no. So like the long and short of the not new edition is it's just a simple how do I phrase? Oh, so you're gonna have this blob edition, and the Blob edition will eventually bloat, and it will bloat to the point where people are like, "This edition sucks." Like, and I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take or how fast it'll be, but like, it will happen because they're not discontinuing anything. So the only way stuff's going to get good enough for people to want to buy is by power creeping the fuck out of everything. So like, the fighter in the new player's handbook is going to be way fucking better than the fighter in the old player's handbook. Like, that's just how it's going to work. Like, there cannot be another way to do it, because otherwise, why would you buy the new player's handbook? You know what I mean?
I could see that. I mean,
so they're going to power creep stuff, and then the game's going to bloat. It's going to be just like in 3.5, when 3.5 got to the point where there was just like an actual like avalanche of books, and you're just like, holy fuck, there's too many goddamn books. That'll happen, and then, and only then, will they triumphantly reveal the next edition. That is called the new edition.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes. So I think that's how it'll happen. So
I mean, and it kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about with the Star Wars stuff, because we already kind of talked about how X-Wing and Armada are dead, and part of what killed X-Wing was the move to the new edition. It's like so many games. As I get older, the more I see it, it's like so many games are just killed by edition changes.
Yeah, they
just
totally are.
Utterly killed. And I don't know if there's like a magic bullet to prevent that from happening.
The magic bullet is the flim flam. It's the power creep flim flam. That's how to do it. Because you look at games. So you look at, like, I mean, it's Magic. Magic is the power creep flim flam. And what that is that's, I think I've talked about it before, where like I say, like, where new editions are mandatory and required for the health of a game. And you either need to do new editions in the obviously painful way, where you just say, "Hey, this stuff you liked, you can't use it anymore." And I think that's actually, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think one of the reasons that people are extra gawking at the Age of Sigmar price for the starter is because they just recently discontinued. Like, they discontinued a ton of models, and then suddenly are like, "Here's the new box set. It's also super pricey." And like, Games Workshop is a game that historically never discontinued like rules, you know what I mean? Like, or they like discontinued like a unit, but like there's, you know, factions got discontinued for the next edition of Age of Sigmar. You know,
well,
like,
yeah, I mean, because like you could think about it, you go all the way back for 5th edition fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy Battles. When 5th edition changed over to 6th edition, you could still use Dogs of War and Chaos Dwarves through 6th, 7th, and 8th edition.
Yes. I mean, they sucked, but you could still use them.
Yes. And they never technically said that they were discontinued.
Yes. So. And so I think that's if this, you know, part of the blowback for the new set being, you know, kind of like everyone kind of rolling their eyes is literally because they just banned a bunch of fucking figures. So anyway, so that's the painful way to do banning, or edition changes, I should say. Now the less painful way, the less obvious way to do edition changes is you do what Magic does, where Magic does the rotations. So they're like, you know, they just banned a bunch of cards, and like, it's the same thing as doing a new edition, and like Magic players adapt to it and they're fine, and they have legacy formats where those are legal. And that, you know, people like that. People like, you know, your cards always have quote unquote value because you can always play them in, you know, said formats, right? But then you have games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And what Yu-Gi-Oh! Does is Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a this is just the best example. It's a known name. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a curated ban list, which is specific cards that are restricted or banned. So they have a long list of cards that are like, these cards cannot be used specifically, and then these cards you may only use one of. And they every so often they shake up the ban list and they change things. Other than that, cards never become illegal in Yu-Gi-Oh! So you think, well, how do we feed the line if you know, we're not banning cards and forcing players to buy new stuff to stay current? You just power creep the fuck out of it. So like, you know, a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Set will drop, and it'll be the most busted shit imaginable, and it's just so much better than the last sets. It's like, oh, okay, like, this is how you've done a banning for, you know, a shit ton of sets, because you've made the new stuff so good. The old stuff, you don't even need to ban it because it can't compete. It will organically be banned by the players not using it anymore because it sucks.
Yeah, I like it. It's weird. I don't know what I don't.
And in my opinion, I think that's the only way. Like, if they're not doing a new edition change or like a proper new edition change for D&D, the only way you're going to sell it is to make the new products better. And that's either power creeping or exclusive, like doing exclusive content. I don't know what they're going to do. And I hope they do it. I hope they do it well. And it is weirder territory with D&D. I will freely admit that it is stranger territory with D&D because like it's not like all of the other games I've mentioned have a very distinct competitive standpoint. Like you need the new shit to compete, and I think that is why they're being so careful about this not being an edition change for D&D. Is they want to have 100% player retention. That's their goal. They want everyone onboarded in the new edition. So a flat edition change would immediately turn people off. And the biggest reason is the book saturation for 5th edition is so high. Like people might, like, dear listener, you might not understand just exactly how successful 5th edition is, but like 5th edition has sold by degrees more books than
the Bible.
Probably, but more books than every other role-playing game ever released combined.
I would not doubt that.
So think about that. Every other role-playing game ever released combined has been outsold by the current edition only of Dungeons and Dragons. That is an unprecedented and unbelievable level of reach and penetration. So you don't want to lose that. And also, regardless of wanting to lose or not, if you do a new edition, I believe the amount of people that would just be like, well, we're just going to stay at 5th edition would actually be unreal.
I mean, we've talked about it at length about it's Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition has a lot of new players who have never played Dungeons & Dragons before. They don't even realize that it's a 5th edition and there have been other editions. They don't know
it's just D&D.
They don't know what an edition change is. It's a lot of things, and they're trying to straddle a line. But you are right; it's a rules bloat issue. And with Dungeons and Dragons, the problem with rules are not necessarily. Well, yes, that there are rules that are bad that need to be fixed, but the problem is that the rules become too spread out, and it's very, very difficult to keep everything together, because when you're pulling out like, well, I got to look up Tasha's and I got to look up this and I got to look up that, and you're like, well, why don't you just use the online thing? And I'll be like, what do I look like, some kind of fucking nerd? Get that computer shit out of my face. You at this house, you write up your player sheet, you write with a pencil, and you never keep track.
Your guy can do what? Give me that sheet. Give me that sheet. Let me look at that. Let me look at that. Your guy can do what?
Yeah. And then it's like, well, I have it here on my iPad, and I just throw the iPad across the room and get that shit out of my table.
Get this out of my face.
God bless it. Yeah,
that's funny.
But anyway, let's move on though, because all the news was that they're selling the book a little bit early. So
yes.
All that means is that it's going to be scanned and available for download through a torrent site way sooner.
Yeah, so we'll know if there's any giant rules changes. Although I will say, as a D&D fan, it is kind of nice to be able to drink a potion as a free action.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying. But the you got to hand it to a person. Like when they get a book like the player's manual, like the first thing that goes to their head is like, I need to scan this. Like, that takes a special type of deviant to have that be your first thought.
I love that. I love that special type of deviant. I love it.
I know, I do too. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like saying that I don't appreciate this type of deviant, but it does take a special type of person to like do that, like have that thought. Like, you know what? I'm going to spend $50 and fuck this company. I'm going to put it out there for everybody to see.
Well, I mean, I think it does definitively prove that stealing books does no damage to anyone's bottom line.
No, not at all.
And you know why? It's because owning a book is different than looking at a fucking PDF. Like, it is actually a thing. Like, if PDFs were the end all be all, and if stealing PDFs would actually do so much damage, literally no books would be printed anymore. There would be no D&D. Like, it would not exist in the way. Well,
the thing is that most of the people in charge of all of this are boomers, and boomers don't know how to open PDFs.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay,
that's what it is.
No, it all makes sense.
Listen here, Jack.
You've cracked the code. Listen here, Jack. I got my mint choco ice cream.
No, I wanted to talk about the X-Wing Armada stuff a little bit more. We do know that game is dead, and they just actually put out a whole like teaser for like what's going to be going on with Shitterpoint and Legions. Pigeons. Sorry,
Star Wars pigeons. It's not that great. I'll workshop it.
Yeah. So everyone thought Legions was dead. Turns out it's not. They're going to be doing like almost a new edition of Legions, but no one's calling it Legions. Like if you go on the Reddit for Star Wars Legions, there's a big debate whether or not this is a new edition that's going to be coming out. That's pretty so funny to see.
That is like the most gamer coded story possible.
The gamer coded, yeah. And I mean, like it's like, no, my Star Wars figures need to be blah blah blah. Well, here's the thing with Legions is that it doesn't really matter. There's so many better models out there for 3D printing for Legions that you could just do that and not ever have to actually buy anything Legions like. You know, it's like, come on, like there's so much better stuff for this game. And because it's all down to cards and dice. That's what all those Ares games are about. It's about the cards and dice.
Yeah,
you're not. Sure. You're not spending any money for actual figures. You're spending on these, the rarefied cardboard and plastic. Not necessarily absolutely. The figures. Yeah. But the X-Wing stuff, I decided because, X-Wing was actually a good game. It became uber bloated, like you said, and they needed a new edition. But I actually have found that, going to a couple used bookstores, I've found a couple of the X-Wing box sets that they, like the cheapo one that they'd have at Target, with just like the one X-Wing and 2 TIE fighters.
Yeah.
I found out that if you buy those at most used bookstores, guess what's inside? A lot more shit than just that. Like people would just throw all their shit in there, and they'd sell it at the used bookstore. So now I have a bunch of X-Wing models for cheap.
Oh,
yeah, I know, it was pretty cool.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah, I just wanted a couple, because I will admit, like the pre-paints on those things are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean they are ships. It's pretty hard to fuck up ships. It really is. Where's my Indiana Jones miniatures game?
Oh god, that'd be terrible.
Oh,
it'd just be racist.
It'd be terrible. I want it.
It would be so unbelievably racist.
I want it.
I was gonna have Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was 3 perfect movies, and they ruined it with 2 more movies.
If there's anything we could use, it's more racist tabletop miniature games.
That's why I want to play Congo so badly.
Congo. Is there actually a game called Congo?
Yeah, it's Studio Tomahawk, the same guys who do Muskets and Tomahawks, which is also another game that I like. But Congo is a game all about like colonialization in Africa. And it's about like going on safari with like the Great White Hunter, and like it's so unbelievably racist looking at like the actual rules and looking at like the
that just sounds bad.
Let me tell you this, the rules are amazing. It's a super fun game, and like the book itself, when you look at it, you're like, oh my god, this is the prettiest game I've ever seen in my life. It's so gorgeous because everything is these beautiful African savannas with these big game on the table, and it's just really incredibly well done, well painted. All the figures look really great, and you're just like, but it's the most racist game I've ever seen in my life.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's like you almost have to hide it in your collection because that's how yeah,
it's like they're like, oh cool, look at these minis games. You pulled out, like, oh put that book back. Put that one back. Yeah. No, you don't need that one.
Yeah, it's like those guys who have to like they like, all those people in Argentina who have the hidden rooms with all the Nazi artifacts in it.
Yes,
like that.
Yes,
like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of course. Yeah, they're doing a bunch of Shitterpoint stuff, and yay, you get more of like the same Star Wars dudes. Like,
cool, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you can get a little pile of ashes and call that Andor after the movie Rogue One. You know, you could have. I do appreciate the constant shitting on the Andor that we do.
Yes, I've never seen it either.
I
need everyone to know. I've never seen it.
I watched one episode and I'm like, where are the lightsabers? Where's all the stuff that makes this Star Wars? Where's the Millennium Falcon? I want to see the Millennium Falcon. I don't care about this guy.
Where's the Falcon?
What do I give a shit about Andor? He's just gonna be dead in a movie. Why do I give a fuck about this guy? Oh, good God.
I just like calling it Blandor.
So the other one I want to talk about was a game that kind of slipped under my nose, and I just kind of been looking at it. And I'm sure you've heard of this, Warcrow.
I think I have. Sounds familiar.
So Warcrow is Corvus Belli's fantasy game. After all these years, Infinity finally is going to get their fantasy game.
Oh, I guess I didn't hear about this one.
No, so they are. I didn't really know about it either. Because
the game I was thinking of that I just thought I forgot the name of, and it was Warcrow. Is not it. That's not it. Absolutely not. So yeah, there's news to me as well.
Yes. Yeah. So because Games Classy, we have our fingers so on the pulse of of gaming. They have these glorious, beautiful figures, of course, because they're Corvus Belli and they do beautiful metal figures. Mm-hmm. They have a starter box coming out for 130 euros, which is actually very expensive. Don't get me wrong.
That's like, isn't that like 220 bucks or something?
No, it's not that much.
I was thinking pounds. Euros are more than $1, I think.
Steve, the pound isn't worth that much anymore either.
Oh no, nice. I mean, I don't do a lot of conversions from the pound to the dollar. So
right around 2015, a lot of nations started making really stupid decisions that really tanked all of our currencies. Yeah. What's this podcast on his phone? Game Classy? Let's give it a listen.
It's so funny.
So yeah, they have a box set coming out. It has comes with a 3x3 gaming mat, which is apparently the new standard for a lot of these games. You're getting 14 models in there. The hegemony of Embersig and the Northern Tribes.
Okay,
which is pretty cool. So you're getting 14 figs in there. So like 130, let's say it's 130 bones for 14 figs. That's quite a bit. You get cards, dice, templates, turn counters, tokens, terrain elements. So you get some really nice stuff in there. They got cardboard scenery. That's fun. But
I do like a nicely done cardboard scenery, I will say.
Yeah. So but you're getting all of that with this new game coming out. And it's I'd be interested in seeing how the game ends up playing out, because I know Infinity. I'd like, we base all of our knowledge of Infinity from the first edition that we played, 20 years ago, where we're like, this game makes no sense.
Yes, I have never updated my opinion. I never will.
Yes. So they better come out shooting with this new edition, or else Steve's just going to shit on that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I am interested in this now because, I do like Corvus Belli sculpts, and a fantasy Corvus Belli game doesn't sound too bad. Like, especially because I like the size of their games, because they don't have they're like just slightly bigger than a skirmish army. I'd say they're like just a little bit bigger, but I think that scale game's probably gonna have its itch scratched with the Age of Sigmar. What the fuck is it called? Spearhead? Yeah, Spearhead. Spearhead actually looks dope. I think I want to pick up the Spearhead box set, like the one that's just like the Spearhead cards and shit.
Yeah,
it looks really fun.
Yeah, I like the idea of Spearhead much more than I like the idea of Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, and I think like Spearhead in general, I really think that's a smart and I'm glad that they're pushing it, and I hope that it's successful, because I think one of the biggest issues with Workshop is, I mean, it's the price is fucking outrageous, and because the price is so high, like actually, like that's the hardest thing. Like, how do you get someone into this game? Well, the price gets a hell of a lot less outrageous if you're just talking like, yeah, just buy the spearhead and you can play. Like, if the game is fun and the spearheads work, like, and it becomes a playable format, that would be great, because then the game instantly gets way, way smaller, which means it's way, way cheaper, which means you can get into it. And then, hey, how do you expand your armies? Well, you make another spearhead for the same faction, and then you slowly build your spearheads, and then, hey, you've got 4 spearheads now. So what does that mean? You've got a 2,000 point army.
Yay!
Yeah, I just think that's a smarter and more fun way to build your game up. Really, that's like, I have no other way to like put it than that.
So yeah, the box, what you get the character Dragoslav Bielogrig. Dragoslav Bielogrig.
Oh, but that's the worst name I've ever heard.
Yeah. So right off the bat, they're sending out, like, it's a Spanish game with a Polish character in there, because he is nicknamed Drago the Anvil. He is for many everything a hetman should aspire to be, but rather ironically, Drago does not hold the rank of hetman. It's like, this is obviously AI translated.
He's not a hetman.
Yes. The council does not grant him the rank of hetman.
The council recognizes your ability, but does not grant you the rank of hetman.
Yes, exactly. You get the Frostfire Herald. The Frostfire Herald specializes in the most effective battlefield magic, elemental magic. These elves are capable of launching scorching spheres of fire, turning the hegemony's enemies into statues of ice. Wait, you just said launching scorching spheres of fire and turning the. So I guess it's 2 separate things. So the spheres of fire does not turn the enemies into ice.
This is some AI translation.
Yeah. But it's the most effective magic, which is elemental magic.
Even being AI translation, it's still more comprehensible than the original first edition.
Yeah. I just like that since there's a most effective battlefield magic, elemental magic, there's a least effective battlefield magic. So it's like, what is that? Like popcorn magic? Like, kettle corn.
I mean, I have to disagree. It sounds like that would be a very effective magic, because you could distract your foes with delicious kettle corn.
Yes, it's true. You could also get a war surgeon. War surgeons are not superstitious healers, but men and women of science whose hands do not tremble whilst performing an intervention or producing a vial of poison in the midst of a battle. So, yeah, well, I don't know why the war surgeons have poison, but apparently they do.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Then you have the Black Legion Bucklermen. The Black Legion is heavily armored elite force. However, in some situations, mobility is the most important factor. Here, the Bucklermen come to the fore, skilled swordsmen trained in deflecting both arrows and sword blows with their small round shields.
I'm going to fuck their wives and call them Cucklermen.
Cucklermen. You can bring out their Cucklermen.
That's right. Bring out your Cucklermen. I'm going to fuck their wives.
For the northern tribes, which are the orcs, which, by the way, their orcs are painted neon green, which I thought was an interesting choice. I mean, it's still painted beautifully, like all their.
That's pretty dope. I like neon green orcs. That's cool.
Yeah, you can get Elbork. Although his enemies call him a coward, no statement could be further from the truth, as Albork has made the bravest decision an orc could make to ally himself with the Varank and travel south. I don't know what the Varank are.
Obviously, they're the Varank. Like, how do you not know the Varank? I think like your gaming status needs to be brought into question. If you
don't know my Varank from the game, from a hole in the ground, I'll tell you that.
I don't know if I can go on at all. There's this shocking revelation. We're gonna have to Tenacious D this situation.
Oh no, my Bowser money.
My Bowser money. Holy shit! Oh, that was good. That was good. Okay, well done. My Bowser money. I really like that. That's really good. Very good.
No, my Bowser money.
My Bowser money. God damn, that's funny. All right, carry on there with the Gronk.
there's also the evoker. So I have to read this because they obviously didn't use the AI to translate this. Los evocadores son líderes espirituales, individuos capaces de recordar una o varias vidas anteriores, ya fueran estas de orcos, de otros seres vivos naturales e incluso de accidentes geográficos o fuerzas elementales.
Cool.
But I know Dan, who's in Spain right now, who listens to our podcast, is going to yell at me about this. He always says I sound like a Mexican when I'm talking Spanish.
I wonder how my Spanish sounds. I
mean, it probably sounds the same. It sounds like me because you know where we learn our Spanish from.
I learned my Spanish from Blasphemous, the video game. El penitente. That's all I know. It was mi dolores profundos, mi dolores profundos.
I learned mine. I learned everything.
Gravitas. I can't remember. There's. It's so funny. The language is like really fucking Catholic. Yeah.
I learned all my Spanish from Telemundo.
That's fair. Yeah. The only Telemundo I used to watch was Dragon Ball because they had the best dub. The Dragon Ball Spanish dub is still the best. It's like, and I'm saying this is a fucking Titanic weeb. The Dragon Ball Spanish dub is the best dub, and it's not fucking close. It is so fucking good.
All right, moving on. The Wise Mane. In those cases where a Wrathmane is deposed, their hair turns a very characteristic pale color, honoring them as a leader of the past. At this point, the former Wrathmane assumes the name of Wisemane and becomes a valued advisor.
All right, then.
Then we have the Orc Hunters. The Hunters, those orcs who have come of age, are not only fierce fighters, but also devilishly cunning. They have finally earned the right to wield a melee weapon worthy of the name, to smell the scent of blood spilled from their prey, and if they so choose to hunt alone, their name is derived from this last fact. You know, they're orc hunters. They're they can choose to hunt alone, and that's where their name is derived from.
They're devilishly coming.
Devilishly cunning and cunningly devilish. Devils. Cunninglish devils. Those Spaniards.
I will check it. I will check it out though. I'm sure it'll be dope.
It does look very interesting. I'd be interested to see how this actually ends up being played. All right. So next thing is a new edition of another game. I kind of should have transitioned to this before we moved into Warcrow. They released a lot of information about Bolt Action 3rd edition. Now, why are we talking about Bolt Action? We don't normally talk about well, I do talk about historicals, but I would say that Bolt Action is probably the most popcorny historical game that most people play ever since kind of I can't even think of the fucking name of the game now. 15mm tanks. Flames of War. Ever since Flames of War kind of fell off the map.
Flames of War flamed out.
It did. And you know what though? It went on a little bit longer than it should have, but it had a really good run, a solid run.
It did. I mean, it lasted a really long time. It got big. But I mean, there is only so far historical games can go.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what it comes down to, is like they should have just taken a knee, said, all right, we're gonna let this be. We're gonna discontinue the game. C'est la vie. But what I do like for 3rd edition Bolt Action is something that I've been advocating for a while. So that almost makes me, I want to say that I think whoever
just take the credit immediately.
Yeah, whoever designed these rules obviously heard them from me.
Yes, now we're talking.
Because this was an idea that I had a long time ago, and it's basically so Bolt Action is designed around the platoon. So the platoon it works just like the Guard organizational chart in 4th edition 40K.
Just like the movie.
Yes, just like the movie Platoon, where, Willem Dafoe is just laying in the rice field going with his arms up.
Yes.
So you have to buy at least like 2 units of men and a lieutenant to form your platoon.
Okay.
And you get all this extra stuff that you could buy. You know, you get like a tank, you could buy a little truck, you could buy a sniper, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, they have in this new edition, you have infantry platoons, but you also have a shit ton of other platoons that you can make as well. Now, in the old edition, you could only make infantry platoons, and they had a separate book where you could make a tank platoon. Now you could do like engineering platoons, artillery platoons, tank platoons, infantry platoons, heavy weapons platoons. It's really cool. So you have to have a rifle platoon, which is your infantry platoon, in your army. So you have to have at least that, but you could have other platoons as well to form out your full game, which I think is fantastic. And I'm super excited about that.
That sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you could do much better, bigger games with it. The one thing I'm interested in is how it's going to work with the dice pool mechanic. Because that was always the thing that held me back when I was trying to write these rules for the bigger platoons, is like, how are you going to do this? Because you don't want to have like 40 fucking dice in this cup as you're pulling it and you get 40 units if you want to get big. So, I mean, that's something that's interesting. And they also nerfed a couple of like crazy things like light machine guns on tanks and shit like that, or medium machine guns on tanks, which were pretty much killed the game for a lot of people because they were so good. They were like, why are the Italian tanks doing this well? Italian tanks didn't do this well in the actual war. It's like, don't look at me, look at Rick Priestley.
Got it. Yeah, one of those. I think machine guns were one of the things that fucked up Infinity too. The first edition, it was like shooting rockets at you from out of line of sight, and then heavy machine guns being absolutely like just like shredding everything.
Isn't that always the way? It's just like in real life.
I mean, yeah, it's realistic, but I'm not playing a fucking tabletop miniatures game for realism. I'm playing for cool shit.
But Steve, it's a historical game. You got to play for realism.
Well, I mean, you know what? That is why I would never touch a historical game.
You wouldn't touch a historical game because you'd probably melt if you touched them.
Also true.
You'd be like, hey, what's this? Oh, wait a second. This is a Napoleonic.
It'd look like when the fucking dude saw the Ark of the Covenant and melted.
Which one, Toad?
Yeah.
When Toad saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much. Speaking of which, there was a movie. Speaking of melting, like there was a horror movie I saw on Amazon on Shudder, I think it was, and it was, God, what's the fucking name of it? It's an Australian horror movie from like the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
And it was like about this, like, it was a lot like The Stuff. It was about like a diet agent or whatever, like a diet drug that people would take. And it was like, it was put out by this evil company that didn't really, that was just testing it on people. And it was causing people to like mutate and melt and do all sorts of crazy shit.
It was called Body Melt?
Was it Body? It might be in my Body Melt. I actually kind of really liked it. It was like very odd, weird, Australian.
I'm trying to remember if the only thing I can't remember is if Body Melt had Australian accents, but like it sounds like Body Melt.
Yeah, I think it is Body Melt. Now that I'm looking, like, hold on a second. I mean, I'm gonna look it up really quick, and I know people love it when I look stuff up online.
Yeah, it's peak content.
It's peak content. Oh yeah, it's definitely Body Melt.
Yay!
100%. Yeah, I really like that movie.
I gotta watch that one again.
Yeah, and you know what else I loved about it? Solid 81 minutes.
I love me a short runtime. Oh,
God, I love a good.
Don't overstay your welcome. The only movie, and I know I've said this is like people might think I'm memeing, but like I'm 100% fucking true. The only movies that I ever have really felt like I could just keep watching more and more and more of them are the Lord of the Rings movies, and that includes the Hobbit movies. Haters.
It truly does include the Hobbit haters.
Actually, the fucking third. I'm the first to admit the third Hobbit movie theatrical release is a fucking mockery. Like after watching the real cut, like. There's so much shit that's cut out of the fucking theater. Like they completely cut out like the endings for characters in the fucking, like you don't see what happens to the fucking, what's his name? Stephen Fry. You don't see what happens to his fucking character in the fucking theatrical release. You don't see what happens to his like goon in the theatrical release. There's like, there's so much shit that's cut from the theatrical release. I was kind of like, floored. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if you saw the last Joe Bob was the inimitable Dr. Giggles from the 90s.
Oh, Dr. Giggles is fucking great.
I have not seen that movie probably since 1998, and I'll tell you what, not as good as I remember it being.
Oh no! Because you know what I was just about to say. Me too, but now I don't want to see that. That's honestly one of the. I think I talked to you about this, and I might have mentioned it on the cast. But like, I've been trying to somewhat avoid going back to like anything that I enjoyed, and I'm trying to keep things as a fond memory, because holy shit, have I ruined a lot of things for myself by like going back and be like, this was great, I'm gonna watch it again, and then like it's fucking terrible, and I'm like, god damn it. I need to. It's annoying.
Natural. But I mean, like, it's like what we were texting about, like, how many movies have you think you've seen in your lifetime? It's
like, I really want to know. Like, I had to have seen a fuck ton of movies.
I mean, like, you could probably sit down and start writing a list of movies. I mean, you're never going to remember everything that you've seen, but if you start
does Letterboxd work? Does Letterboxd have every movie? Because I could just go down a list of what I've seen. That I could definitely do.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to be necessarily able to do that, but I mean, like, what I would say is just get like a piece of paper and just start writing movies that you've seen, and just keep track of it. Like, oh yeah, I've seen that movie, and just write it down again. So you could eventually
like a mega movie journal to like eventually have the full list of all the movies I've seen. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but you don't have to write like, I like this movie or anything like that.
No. Just
write the name.
Tally. Yeah, like more like a tally, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, tonight's Joe Bob is Carnival of Souls. Ugh.
That movie's really bad.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it. I haven't seen it, and I don't know if I've ever actually seen the whole movie. It's only 80 minutes long.
Joe Bob also does make worse movies better. So
yeah, exactly. You know, I've been wanting to go back, and of all things, I wanted to go back and rewatch all the Hitchcock movies. At least like his big ones, you know, North by Northwest, Strangers on a Train, Psycho, Birds. Normally I'm a contrarian about directors, but Alfred Hitchcock was fucking on it, man. He was good. Oh yeah, his movies are really fun to watch, and
real good director, and he was nice, which I think is important. Like,
I don't think he was that nice. I don't know if you can read Tippi Hedren's biography. He really did not like women.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, come on. Who does? That's a joke. Again, entertainment purposes only.
Looking on phone. What's this podcast? Now it's time to game classy. Listen, we need to get to Lombard. Oh God Almighty! All right, so last thing I wanted to spend some time. GW announced that they're going to be releasing. They have the Dwarves up for pre-order this weekend. So for the Old World, so okay. Like, yay, the Old World is back now that they've poopy dropped Skaventide. We can get back to kind of our normally scheduled life.
Get back to the exciting stuff.
Get back to the stuff that matters. So with the Dwarves coming out, Dwarves are actually one of those armies that there are a fuck ton of 3D printed models for.
Oh, yeah,
alternatives for.
Absolutely.
There's a ton. So I just kind of wanted to go through a couple of what I think are the best picks, and then my top pick. Fire. I should say top picks.
Go for it.
Spoiler.
I mean, I like the Highland ones, but carry on.
Yes. So first one I want to point out is the one that I think has done a really good job with a lot of stuff, which is Dragon's Lake miniatures, or Dragon's Lake miniaturas, they have almost a full dwarf army available. It's not quite GW-ish. They're almost like a mix of the Hobbit dwarves with Games Workshop dwarves. I like their looks. I think they look pretty cool.
That seems okay.
Yep. Not definitely my top pick, but one of the runners up. Next up, I wanted to throw a special shout out to Heresy Lab. Now, Heresy Lab is not for an army at all, but they had a Kickstarter out called Black Mountain Dwarfs, and they're all kind of like character models, and I just love the way that they look. They're really simplistic. they're just kind of really cool looking, and I like Heresy Lab quite a bit.
Oh, is that the one that did that was doing those Kickstarters that had the metal dwarfs that had like the real like every like a dwarf of every class and gender?
No, that is shit. God damn it! And I have the halflings from that set too.
Okay, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
It was a few years back, so I mean, I don't blame you.
No, this is
right away.
This is different. This is all 3D printed stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
Another one that I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to is a new Kickstarter and a new Patreon that just started. They're called White Angel Miniatures. Theirs just started to do their dwarves, so they have some stuff out already. Interesting sculpts. I don't think they're that great, but it's kind of worth keeping an eye on because they're trying to do 1-for-1 for all of the fantasy armies. So they have some of the stuff out right now. Their white dwarf miniature, I think, is really great, though. I think that because they put out like a white dwarf sculpt, a sculpt of the white dwarf, and I think it looks kind of just like a lot of the artwork has been of him lately.
Nice.
Let's see. Oh, another one is Mom, which Mom Miniatures has a bunch of dwarves that are out right now. I don't know why that a lot of these companies decide to put out dwarves cavalry, but they do.
Everyone wants dwarves riding bears or pigs or some shit, dude. I don't know why.
They don't. Dwarves don't ride shit.
I mean, I like Dane riding the giant pig, but I think
Dane.
Dane. I got Dane. I think like a lot of dwarf cavalry is kind of lame. But like I think having like a character on a war boar is kind of cool.
Yes. So but Mom Miniatures actually has a lot of nice stuff. It's very 5th edition looking stuff. It's smaller, looks cool. They have pirate slayers that look a little bit more like the old 5th edition with like the hunchback dwarves that they put out. So keep an eye out for them. MOM Miniatures. And my last runner-up that I wanted to talk about was, you might have to give me some help on this one. KYOUSHUNEKO. Kyushuniko.
I'd have to look at it.
Kyushuniko.
The letters are not gelling in my brain, but it sounds like Kyushuniko.
Yeah, Kyushuniko. That's kind of what I was thinking of. That
sounds what it was, but it's really hard to like put that in my mind's eye. I can't spin the apple.
You can't spin the apple. So this Patreon has been putting out dwarves for a very, very long time. They were actually one of the first companies, first Patreons I knew of that were putting out a 1-for-1 3D printed version of classic fantasy dwarves. They have almost everything out there. They also have the DEI dwarves, which are the females. Dude,
it's so funny to watch like the buzzwords like catch on. Cracks me up.
But they have a ton of stuff. They have a bunch of Slayer stuff. I think all their stuff looks great. They also have guys writing boars for whatever reason. But what they do also have as well is they have a bunch of Japanese dwarves that are really cool. Interesting. Yeah. They I really like their rune lord for the Japanese dwarves, because it literally looks like I don't even know what the proper term is for it, but he looks like something out of a Kurosawa movie, but he's a dwarf.
That sounds dope.
I mean, that's all like everything I could just say is it looks like it's out of a Kurosawa movie. They do, and they have like dwarven samurai, female dwarven samurai, of course. But
of course.
I do like their stuff quite a bit. I think it's they've been putting out a lot of interesting stuff over the years, and it's just not even just the dwarf stuff, but their stuff in general. They're one that I have not mentioned before. But yeah, I really like their stuff. They have they have a Gaelic wood elf army that I think looks really cool too. It's definitely not anywhere near like what Games Workshop would have, but I just think it's definitely an interesting look.
I mean, sounds rad. I'll give it. I'd give it a shot, especially if they look like 5th edition.
All right, so here we go. So here's my top 2 picks. Now, you already kind of spoiled one, and I'll go into that one first, which is the Highland miniatures.
Yeah.
Highland miniatures dwarves are incredibly good. They're very great 1-for-1s. They even have like a movement tray that works out really well. Their stuff doesn't look perfect in terms of like to Games Workshop, what Games Workshop has, but it exceeds what you'd want it to have for Games Workshop.
Yeah, I think if you were to collect all Highland miniatures as your choice for your 3D printed Warhammer Old World product, like everything is going to look good together.
Yes, very much so.
By that I mean like if you do each of your factions using Highland, so like you do your Highland Dwarves versus Highland Undead versus Highland this, Highland that. I think they all gel really well because they're very like 5th and 6th edition inspired.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to have all of it, but I mean you can use them for sure. You want to know what my hot take is on the Highlands though? I don't like the king on the boat.
Really?
I know people love the king on the boat. I don't like the king on the boat.
All right, fair enough. I thought he's pretty cool.
I mean, hey, to each their own, but you know what? It's not my flavor. I'm just saying that.
I think the other thing that would have been cool is a gigantic book, to be honest. That like so one of my ideas for the throne, but like an idea I always wanted to convert for a throne bearer was the dwarves were holding him aloft on a metal filigreed Book of Grudges. And it's a gigantic book. Like, it's so big, like the Dwarf King is held aloft on the Book of Grudges. I thought that would be cool.
I like that idea. It's very Reading Rainbow-ish. I'd like it if there was like
I love Reading Rainbow.
A LeVar Burton on top of the book.
I'll make a LeVar Burton reference.
Did you see the LeVar Burton clip that's been going around of him talking about Reading Rainbow and Star Trek?
No.
It's from a TV show that he did on Amazon, and I'm not really sure what it's about. But it's such a like it's him talking about like, you know, when I was introduced to people's lives, they saw me as Kunta Kinte, and it's him talking about how he has this like internal anger inside of him that like people don't see because they see him as all these nice characters, but he has to hide this. Like, it's really cool thing. I would suggest looking it up. If I find it again, I'll send it to you. Interesting.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
All right, and so my second pick for what I really liked is Titan Forge. Now,
well, of course with the Titan Forge. Now, here's the thing with Titan Forge. Titan Forge has the metal beards. They also have the where is it? Right here. They're really impossible to like look up of what they because just the way that they do it online. But they also have 3 different dwarf sets. They have the metal beards, which are like an almost 1-for-1 with the dwarves, but they're all robot metal dwarves with like some cool stuff. They got blimps, all sorts of neat shit there. They also have like a let's see, where's that? Not the Infernal Dwarves, which they do have, but they have like a Mountain Dwarf range. Oh, Hillhammer Dwarves, that's what they're called. The Hillhammer Dwarves are also really cool looking. They're not 1-for-1s, but they're mostly like a scouty kind of like little dwarf faction that they have. Comes with really cool bases on there. They got a guy one dwarf guy riding a dragon. They have a gyrocopter that looks like the gyrocopter from Dune. Nice.
Yes. But they also, Titan Forge just put out a Kickstarter for Legends of the Old World Volume 1, which is the Dwarf Holds, which is a direct 1-for-1 miniature representation of the Dwarf Army. The only thing that it is missing the metal beards with the cannons, and that's it.
No shit. Okay, that's pretty dope.
Like the figures are super dope looking. I think that they look just as good, if not better in some cases than the Highlands. I think, you know what, they're equivalent. I can't pick one above the other. If I had to pick, I would say that I like the Titan Forge just because I think their dwarven hero characters are cooler. But it's like that's not saying much. It's like everything else. It looks really cool.
The line is very narrow.
Yeah, the line is very, very narrow. It's like it would really go down to just like which one do you prefer, which one do you have access to.
Makes sense.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying is like if you see these dwarves coming out and you're like, you know what, I don't need these dwarves, even though the dwarf army box is probably a very, very effective army box, I would suggest either looking up Highland Miniatures Dwarves, or you could look up the Titan Forge Legends of the Old World Dwarven Holds set. Both of them I think are fantastic, and you can you'll definitely get your money's worth out of those figures as opposed to the 30-year-old plastics. Actually, they're not 30 years. They're probably, because they redid those, I think, for 7th edition.
They did, yeah.
So I think that was like 2008-ish, maybe, when 7th edition came out. Maybe a little bit before then. It had to be before then.
Yeah.
Like 2006.
It was before then.
18-year-old
let's say 20.
Yeah, it's like 20-year-old plastics that you're still paying full price for, but you could find these guys. Like, there's, as I say, like, yeah, you could buy the Games Workshop plastics, but there are people who are out there putting out way better versions of those figures than the Games Workshop ever could have hoped they could have put out.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I'm very satisfied with the Etsy printer I used for my Highland figures. I went with not 32 millimeter scale. I went with 28 millimeter scale. Like actual 28 millimeter, so, or 25 or 20. What do they fucking do? I don't remember. There's the two scales, because I can't remember which one I picked. I picked the smaller scale, and I think they look much better because they're not heroic. Because they're not the 28 millimeter heroic.
Yeah.
And I think they look much better not being the heroic scale.
And one last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of 3D printing. I found a guy who's putting out these really cool 3D printed Kickstarters. It's ADAEVE. I've been calling him a Davey Creations. A Davey Creations has been putting out, has like 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Kickstarters that are all like mini Call of Cthulhu based Kickstarters for 3D printing. So you get all of these cool little like investigators, but all these other like neat things that you could use for your Call of Cthulhu games, including a ton of cool like monsters, and like the monsters look really great. Like the cultists and the star vampire look fantastic, and I would really recommend taking a look at that. ADAEVY, a Davey Creations.
Okay, we'll take a look.
Yeah, they have some really neat Call of Cthulhu stuff. I wanted to use some of it for Dracula's America when I've been putting it together, just because you got the vampires and stuff like that. You can throw some Cthulhu spawn in there. I love the cultists for Cthulhu. Cultists.
The Cathaltists,
yes,
like you do.
Yeah, because they're like pretty great, because you'll be like, oh, this cultist has like, a knife, and this cultist has like a book, and this cultist has a shotgun, because it's the 1920s, so of course they'd have a shotgun. So yeah, definitely take a look out for those. But aside from that, that's about all of the gaming stuff. I had a lot up my sleeve this time.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that we talked about how important it was that you get a free action to take a potion.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I only got Magic. The Bloomburrow set looks super great, very cute, lots of fuzzy animals. It's already shaping up to looking like it's going to be a smash hit that nails every aspect of what you want on a Magic set, which is good. And also hot on its heels for Halloween, which there's some spoilers are starting to come out for it, but a very exciting set, Duskmorn, which me personally, this might actually be one of the most exciting Magic sets I've ever seen for me personally, because it is 1980s to 2000s horror content inspired set.
Ooh.
So yeah, like there's a bundle they have called there's like a special edition thing called the Nightmare Bundle, and it looks like a TV, like an old TV with like UHF shit on it, and like static and whatnot. There's a lot of really dope looking shit coming out of this set. I'm very excited about it, just content wise, like, and thematic wise. I think it's really cool.
Oh, well, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really it looks dope. Like one of the cards they spoiled is it looks like an old movie poster, and it's got like a Jason Voorhees dude on it. It's this chainsaw, and now they haven't shown anything, and like this is not me doing like insider trading or anything. I not see anything. This is just my personal wish. Is like I'm really hoping that they're keeping it under wraps, that they're doing some collabs with like Big Horror or somethings.
Always at the pocket of Big Horror.
Yes, yeah, you know. No, I mean like having like like a Michael Myers card or something like that would be fucking dope.
Yeah, it's not like John Carpenter isn't gonna sell out to like for $50 anything that he can.
Oh, dude, John Carpenter's based. He'll do whatever the hell he wants.
Exactly. He just wants to sit around and play video games. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to mention before we left off is there's a movie that's on Shudder right now called She is Conan.
Like Conan O'Brien?
No, more like Conan the Barbarian.
Ooh, all right. I'm down.
But it's Conan with 2 N's.
Okay.
And this is Conan's wild journey through barbaric conflicts, different time periods, and lesbian love is guided by Rainier, a Cerberus of many otherworldly dimensions whose paparazzi camera sees all. I kind of really want to watch this. I don't know what it's about.
That sounds insane. I'm down.
Yeah, this looks like very, very art house. So
I do enjoy me a fart house film.
Fart house film. No, actually, I really want to see Long Legs, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to the theater to see that.
What the fuck is Long Legs? This is the second time I've heard about it, but I don't know what it is.
It's a movie with an incredibly good marketing team because I really don't know what the movie is. All I know is, and I've been trying to avoid a lot of it, is that Nick Cage plays a serial killer named Long Legs, and that's it. That's all I know.
Okay, I'm down. I'm sold. I'm sold. I'll watch it.
I've heard some people really like it, some people don't like it, but I don't really understand. I haven't been listening to like why they like it or why they don't like it because I kind of want to leave it for myself.
I have yet to see a Nick Cage movie I haven't enjoyed, so I'm down.
His Five Nights at Freddy's movie was terrible.
I loved that movie. It was so stupid.
Oh no,
Willy's Wonderland. That movie was so dumb. I thought it was great.
Well, I will give you it's very dumb, but it failed and it's not even a movie.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's great. It's like it is literally just a sequence of events and it's just random shit. I thought it was funny.
And there's no conflict in it. It's like he's
the conflict. The conflict is he's the fucking best, and he's gonna kill the shit out of everything, and everyone dies around him. It's a very I felt it was a very like Ash situation where Evil Dead, where like everyone around him dies, and he's the only one who survives.
I guess no,
and he's just fucking chugging energy drinks the whole time.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. The most recent movie I've seen that I thought was absolute just dog shit garbage was fucking Skinamarink. That movie was fucking garbage. I hate that movie.
That movie wasn't great.
It was so bad, like unbelievably bad. It's been, man, that was real bad. I mean, maybe not Love Guru bad, but it's bad.
Oh, don't talk bad about the Love Guru. We all know Michael Myers. Mike Myers made a mistake, and so now he's gonna do Shrek 6 or whatever it's gonna be on there. Yep. No, the last horror movie that I really liked, though, when I saw it was Autopsy of Jane Doe was on Joe Bob, and I never seen it.
That was great.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, real good. I know you. I know you. I haven't watched it yet, but I know you recommended Late Night with the Devil. That's that's absolutely on my to-do list.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to finish fucking Elden Ring first.
Good luck.
I'm almost done. I'm actually shitting all over the DLC. So
you're shitting all over that DLC.
I am. Yeah. Everyone complaining is just not using the optimal build. No, I'm not even kidding. I'm not good at this game, but I'm fucking destroying everything because I'm using the best build. It's really easy. Like I was talking to someone who's like, "Oh man, this boss was so hard. It took me like 2 nights to retries to beat him." And like I fucking recorded my fight with him and sent it to him. And he's like, "You fucker." He said like that just a 2-word response was just "you fucker." That was to my video I sent to him.
All right, so go to the Game Classy Facebook page. It's the best way that you can find the link to the Game Classy Discord. The Discord is where we talk about all sorts of stuff and shit on Andor.
Yes. Blandor.
There we go. If you want to help out the podcast, the best way you can do that is like, comment, subscribe on the iTunes, or you can like, comment, subscribe on the Twitter, or like, comment, subscribe on Spotify, whatever you get your podcasts. Hey man, we've been going for 10 years. We're all over the place.
It's true. We are a decade old. Unbelievable.
So you can if you want to see more of my stuff, you can go to Instagram at @GameClassyJoe. If you want to see more of Steve's stuff, he's on Blue Sky at Command Throw.
It's true. And then if you really need me for something, just at me on Discord.
Yeah. So Steve, until next time.
Ah, shit. I had something prepared, but I've lost it. Weezer sucks.
What?
That's all I got.
Game Classy.